Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. I'm gonna jump right into it today. If you were following along, you know I picked up a new project for the winter, and it's one of these ARRMA Kraton 6S RC trucks. I don't really like the body style. I mean, it's okay, but it looks kind of like a Chevy Silverado. Not really my style, to be honest. Nothing wrong with Chevy Silverados, I just don't like it for this. And I have picked up a different body, which I'll show you in a second, that really fits the style of what I'm going for on this truck. The challenge is, this one is a longer wheelbase than the body I have is made for. So they make another version of this called the Notorious, and if you're familiar with these, you'll know what body I'm talking about. It looks kind of like a 49 Ford, but the back tires from like half of the car back, it's shrunk or shortened. And what it's for is to make it into a stunt truck where you can do backflips in the air and wheelies and all that kind of stuff. Me being pretty new with these, I didn't want to get that one, so it's afraid it'd be too hard to control until, you know, I had some experience with them. But I like that body style a lot. So now it's my first project. Basically, I'm gonna have to figure out how to fit that body to this truck. So that's what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna start by just taking this body off, obviously. And here is the new body. And as you can see, it's much more hot roddy, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I really like the look of this body, and it's what they're referring to as real steel. So they painted like a silver underneath and then the blue on the top. And as you get some nicks and dings and crash on the roof like I've done a little bit lately, it scrapes off some of the blue and the silver shows through. So it starts to look like a real kind of patina look to the body. So I like the roll bar. It's reinforced because this is meant to be a stunt truck, so I like that. I like the look of it. So now what I gotta try to figure out is how is it gonna fit. And supposedly the Notorious and the Kraton are the exact same up to like halfway through the body, and then it's just lengthened in the back on this one. And so I'm trying to line up the body mounts. And obviously that's hanging up. So the first thing I'm gonna have to do is work with this kind of roll cage thing that's on the Kraton. So I'm gonna start by taking that off, and it's just some little, let me see, some little, flip it around so y'all can see it better. I'm learning as I go, I'm not an expert, so this isn't gonna be super smooth. But anyway, just some little cotter pins, maybe, that's what these are called, little clips. And then these pins push out, and this whole cage should come off, and it does. And I think it's just this part that's in the way. So what I might try to do is come back and just take some of these other little screws out and take this part off, but leave this behind as kind of a reinforcement. But we'll see. For now, I'm just gonna see if the body's even close. Actually, wow, it's really close. So there's what it's gonna look like. And as you can see, it's much more my style, at least. So the front posts lined up no problem. And the back, while the post didn't line up, drilling a couple of holes in the back here for the post isn't a big deal. They'll be kind of farther back, and I'll put some stickers or something over this, and I'll move these back. No problem there. But what's happening is, you can see the body's actually hitting the rear suspension. So I'm gonna definitely have to do some trimming in the back, and as the suspension works, I'm gonna have to account for that. So I've never modified one of these bodies before. I've watched a couple of videos about it, and it looks like you can use a razor blade or an X-Acto blade to kind of score it and then break it off. But luckily I'm kind of a surgeon with a Dremel. Now it might make some shavings and be a mess. I'm not gonna do it here on my workbench, but I might go outside and use a Dremel. But it's really just gonna become just, you know, cut once or measure twice and cut once until I can just get this to fit on there, and then I'll work kind of around the suspension. To get started, I took a look at the body posts, and the stock ones are actually adjustable. So it's a little number 2 hex metric screw Took that out, raised it up 1 notch. That gave me an extra 1/4 of an inch of height on the body post. Did it front and rear. And the rear ones, you get to those back here, take those 2 out, and this little arm comes off, and then you can get to the screw on the other side. And I raised those up 1 notch. I think that's as high as I can put the stock body posts. I could get aftermarket body posts that have more adjustment to them, but I don't want to get too crazy with the body being too high off of everything. So I think that's a good compromise there, but I am still going to have to do some trimming. I've set the body forward of the suspension because it's mainly this arm right here that I think is going to be in the way. And now I can cycle the suspension and get an idea of how far up it's going to come. And I'll just use a Sharpie and mark it. And that'll be where my first cut comes in, because I only want to trim what I have to trim. I want to leave as much of the body in place as I can for durability. To get started, I'm going to use some scissors to try to take some big pieces off. And then, like I said, I'm going to use a Dremel. I've got a cutoff wheel and then a little sanding barrel, which I assume I'm going to need. And then I checked the size of the holes for the body posts, and what is this, a 5/16 I think? Let me look. Yeah, 5/16 was just about a perfect fit. So that's what we're going to use for the rear body post holes. You see I got the Sharpie mark there. That's what I'm going to start cutting. Wish I had some body scissors, but I don't, so I have to make this work. Now we need to come on across here, and because of that bend in the fender, it's going to be a little harder. But something like right there. That's where we're going to start needing the Dremels to come around that corner right there. We'll see how close I got. That's very close. So I've got both sides trimmed now. And I'm going to use the sanding wheel to kind of clean all this up. Might need, by the time I do the sanding on this back section right here, I think we'll clear. It's probably got a couple of millimeters to go, but it's very, very close. We'll switch out the Dremel to the sanding wheel and go take care of that. Okay, after several passes with the sanding wheel, remember, it's easy to take material off, but you can't put it back if you cut too much. So I just did a little bit of time, maybe like a millimeter, then I would check, and then another millimeter. And hopefully you can see that it is clearing the suspension by about 2 millimeters. Now I haven't drilled the holes in the bed yet for the body posts, so it's going to set down just a little bit more, but I would rather, again, be able to take more off because you can't put it back. Now I'm just going to blow it off with some compressed air, and I'll probably use some 400 grit sandpaper on the edges just to remove any little plastic burrs. Now I've got to figure out where to drill the holes for these back body posts. So that's how it's going to set. The best way I can think to do it is put a little paint on the top of these posts and then set the body down on it, and then it will mark the underside. So I'm going to try that. This is just red touch-up paint. Be careful that I set this straight down. Let's see what we get. There we go. So I should be able to drill the holes right there and be in good shape. I decided I'm going to drill a small pilot hole just to double check, make sure these are in the right place before I go and do the 5/64ths? 5/16ths. 5/16ths. I'll start with a couple of pilot holes. I hope it's right. Looks like it to me. A little odd that it's not exactly in the same place, but maybe that's because of, you know, body can shift or whatever. It'll be good enough. That looks like a Notorious body on a Kraton to me. The last thing I need to do is just finish taking these little clips out so I can move them back. I'm going to use some long needle nose just to help it along. They're in there pretty tight. And to see how far I need to move them, I'm going to measure from the center to where the original post would be, 34 millimeters. Right about 34. So if I take from the center of the new hole to 34 millimeters, looks like it's going to line up almost with the center of the original hole. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move these down and I'm just going to center them up right across from where the original holes were. And it is a 5/32 drill bit that I'm going to use. And I kind of like to crisscross the straps, makes it look better. So that is just about it. As I was checking final assembly and full range of motion on the suspension, I did notice the very bottom of the front bumper was touching the front A-arm. And so all I did was use the same technique of the Dremel with the sanding wheel and just clearanced it a little bit and then hit it with some 400 grit sandpaper. And as you can see, it's good to go. We got to get rid of this right here. I'm going to go with my own logo. Check that out. So my lovely wife made these for me. Center it up on the door. And bam! There you go. Little custom door logo, Speedy's Garage style. So that is exactly what I was looking for, something kind of custom and unique. But that's how it turned out. The hardest part, honestly, was making sure I kept the back symmetrical on each side. You can't really see it because of all the wing and everything, but I'm a little bit OCD, so I knew if it didn't match. So I was very careful when I trimmed everything that it lined up and was exactly the same. That's how it turned out. Probably 15 or 20 minutes worth of work, maybe 30, I don't know. I lost track, I was having fun. But that looks way better to me than that Chevy Silverado body. This just matches my style a lot more. I'm back from just a real quick rip. I didn't do a whole lot with it. I was trying to just make sure that the suspension and everything would work and this thing wouldn't rattle itself off the body, and everything worked just fine. Oops, I am going to need a better bumper. If you've got suggestions on something, leave me a comment below. Let me know what kind of bumper you recommend, because now the body's kind of out past whatever the little stock bumper happens to be. I've seen the T-Bone racing ones that look kind of tubular, so I might look into that. But if you got another suggestion, send that my way. I need to check the diffs and do some diff maintenance on it, so that'll be coming up. And I've got some skid plates and some other little bolt-on things that I've got planned for it next. Well, that was a pretty fun project. It was very easy to do. Like I said, it only took maybe 30 minutes. I kind of lost track of time because I was kind of enjoying, you know, putting the detail work into the little truck. I've got some more ideas of things I'm going to do. I'll probably do some lights and some stuff like that. I'll probably end up with two bodies, actually. One that I take out and just beat on, and the other that is kind of like when I'm going to display it on the shelf or just drive it around the neighborhood. The lights and stuff will be obviously on the better body. But I was glad I was able to fit the Notorious body on the Kraton without too much work. I think this looks a ton better. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's at Speedy's_garage, as well as the website, www.speedysgarage.net, and hopefully I'll see you out there.
it sound right, boy.